welcome back to another video. My name is Michael, and today we're talking modern age Marvel Comics. So just to give a little brief history or background on Marvel from about 1991, 1992 to the present day. Marvel Entertainment was actually bought out in 89 by a new company called McAndrews and Forbes. And this company saw Marvel and thought they could make a lot of profit on it. So it was very much somewhat different how, while profit's always been an important part of Marvel, they had to show increasing profits over continual months. So, but in some of the things that also happened this time period is Marvel Comics went public in 1991, which means people could start buying shares in the company. They also went through a massive expansion at this time. They bought out a couple different other comic book companies, including Malibu. They also did some mass expansion in different toys and trading cards and stuff like that. So it was a really big growth and expansion for Marvel in the early 90s. And then in 1994, the company that owned Marvel Entertainment decided that they didn't want to have to use a third-party distributor to distribute their comics. They decided they could cut out the middleman, do everything themselves. So they bought a company called Heroesville Distribution. This company was going to be the one who was going to take the printed comics and then distribute them throughout the different shops throughout the United States. The problem was this company did not have the infrastructure or was set up to do the massive ordering and business that was going on for Marvel Comics. And so there was problems with different shortages and issues like that. Also, because Marvel Comics had pulled out to do their own distribution, a lot of the other comic distributors had shut down or closed out, leaving the only one really left was Diamond Distributors, who got an exclusive contract signed with DC, and then a lot of the other comic book companies too jumped ship from these other distributors and went with Diamond as well. And then by the mid-90s, the speculators market that started in the late 80s finally collapsed. You had a lot of people who would spend a lot of money buying different comics, the idea that they were going to continue a price and investment, only to discover that a lot of other people have the same idea as them, and the comics a lot of times were actually worth less than what they actually paid for them. So the comic book industry collapsed. Marvel really suffered from this, from their massive expansion to loss of revenue. Also their failure in doing their own distribution led to Marvel in 1996 to declare bankruptcy. They filed Chapter 11, and because of all the distributors having gone out of business and their failure, they also had to go with Diamond Distributors, which made Diamond pretty much have a monopoly in comic book distribution. Now, very recent history, that has changed within the last couple months. DC has pulled out of Diamond Distribution and has gone with two new distributors to distribute the comics. One who's handling mostly the East Coast, one who's handling mostly the West Coast. So, and during this time of downturn, Marvel tried to revive their titles. They did a company-wide relaunch called Heroes Reborn, where they had all their heroes pretty much were fighting a enemy. They ended up supposedly all getting killed, but later on you find out they actually ended up in an alternate reality type thing. This ran for about a year and did okay, but wasn't quite what they were hoping for, so they ended up doing another story relaunch called Heroes Return about a year later, where all the superheroes that supposedly had died returned to the mainstream Marvel universe. During this time too, the company that had bought Marvel in '89 decided to try and go ahead and possibly sell them or do some business thing for restructuring. And in 1997, Toy Biz actually bought them. And it was under Toy Biz that Marvel actually managed to stabilize its finances. And Marvel also started looking into doing some new relaunches or some different things to try and attract new buyers or growth. They started an imprint. They did launch a couple new imprints, including Marvel Knights. They also launched Marvel Max, which was more adult comics. They also did a line for children called Marvel Adventures. And then they also did a series called Ultimate Marvel, which was a reimagining of certain Marvel characters in a different universe, but just how things would be different if they were brought in more of a modern age type thing. You also saw around this time period, you start seeing the rise of superhero movies. You had Fox release the X-Men movies. Sony did, of course, Spider-Man. You had Blade come out in the late 90s. So, and then in 2005, Iron Man, which was released, which is the first MCU movie. And this, of course, starts setting up the MCU, more characters being introduced, of course, culminating in the first Avengers movie, of course, and that was successful, and it's continued going. They just recently finished the two-part Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War movies, and of course, they're launching into their new phase currently. And then in 2009, Disney ended up buying Marvel Comics and getting their hands on the characters. And of course, under Disney, there was a mass expansion of the MCU. And of course, in 2014, Disney also bought Lucasfilms, and so they got all the rights to Star Wars. And it was from there that Dark Horse ended up losing the licensing for the Star Wars characters, and Marvel in 2015 started reprinting the Star Wars comics and doing new Star Wars comics as well. And then, of course, in 2019, Disney also acquired 21st Century Fox, which allowed them to get back the rights to the X-Men and Fantastic Four. Of course, there's already rumors starting surrounding when we'll start seeing those characters start appearing in Marvel Comics, and in, well, not Marvel Comics, but in the MCU movies and TV shows. And then also in 2019, Marvel also celebrated its 80th anniversary. So, and I just brought a couple things from this time period in. First one I have right here is X-Men number 4 from 1992. And this was the first appearance of Omega Red. This comic's actually been kind of popular and been selling really well recently. There's been some rumors that Omega Red may be appearing fairly soon in the MCU, so a lot of people have been buying up his first appearance. But this is his first appearance in X-Men number 4. The next one I brought in is Men in Black. Men in Black was actually not originally published by Marvel. It was originally published by a company called Aircel, but that company got bought out and then eventually got bought out by Marvel in the 90s, and they were the ones who started doing the movies and stuff. This is actually a reprint of the first issue by Aircel. This came out around the same time the first Men in Black movie came out. Next I have is Amazing Spider-Man 529. This is the first appearance of the Iron Spider-Man costume that was made by Tony Stark. A version of this appeared in a couple of the MCU movies, but this is the first appearance of that costume. Next I have Dark Avengers number 1 from 2009. This was an interesting storyline. They did a major event called Secret Invasion, where you had an alien race trying to invade Earth. Norman Osborn was actually one of the big ones who actually helped save the Earth. So in return for that, he actually got pardoned, and he was put in charge of his own Avengers team. And this is his team of Avengers. It was actually made up, though, of a bunch of other criminals as well, including Daken, who's Wolverine's son, and Bullseye, who went under the name of Hawkeye during his tenure on the team. But this is the first full appearance of the Dark Avengers. And then finally, as I said, in 2019, Marvel celebrated their 80th anniversary, and this is their 80th anniversary special issue. Just did some different things, showing some different characters throughout Marvel's history. But this also is the first modern appearance of a character called the Masked Raider, who was a Golden Age character of Marvel. He hasn't been seen in years, but this is his first modern appearance. And this issue also started setting up some of the storylines that are going to be happening in Marvel Comics over the next year or two. So that's everything I have today on Marvel. Next week I'm going to be talking about some more of the different other companies and stuff that were around during this modern time in the that formed in the 90s or even in the early 2000s stuff. I'll bring in some of that stuff in just to show as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, just go ahead and give it a like. And you have a very nice week. Thank you.